Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Skrillex bass. It is the robot talking bass thing. It sounds like this. Now, I did not get super duper close. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is what I got. And so, it's right here. Upon making this version, I've come up with other methods, but just so you know, I'm going to be showing you how to make that in this video. It wound up being a little bit harder than I thought. So anyways, it is this thing right here. It's the Bun Dem. They got that robot sort of do thing at the end. And I tried a number of times to get something, and it has to do with sort of that lo-fi sound. And I was starting to do one using envelopes that re-triggered as an arpeggio instead of a one patch type deal. And it was probably a one patch type deal in reality. And I just don't care to continue to try very much harder on this sound. I got what I think is a pretty cool sound. So anyways, you can see I've got a lot of things here. I was trying a number of things. A variety of waveforms work for this. Because of the nature of the complicatedness of this patch, I'm just going to take you through my workflow. I'm not going to actually make this patch. So hopefully I can run you through this pretty quick. Oscillator 1, I just flipped through here. I wound up on Wicked. And now 1 is this long envelope. So as you can see, I have this long envelope on 1. It's just what I settled on. And I turned it up. The wave moving does not make that big of a difference. At least I don't believe it is. It just makes it a little bit more organic. But all these things where you see these envelopes are not that big of a deal. The important moves are the scream filter and the envelope on that. So 1 is being used for this, and I just conveniently used it for other things. But this is a big deal. The resonance filter envelope 3 is a very big deal. I'm not going to touch these knobs because moving them like barely at all makes a huge difference. 5. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go through this systematically, I suppose. This isn't necessarily the way I made it, but it's the way that'll most easily let you at least find the settings. Now, I have a whole series on Massive from the ground up in case you're curious to further find this thing. So I've got 1 Wicked. It's on Bend Plus, and it's barely being moved. Again, another very subtle move. The filter 1. Now, the routing, filter 1 is the way things go. Filter 1, filter 1, filter 1, filter 1. Everything filter 1. And even the mix is only filter 1. Filter 2 is off, and it's like not going out because Massive has this parallel out type deal thing, and it affects the way you introduce distortion units. So I just turned it completely off. I was like, nope, nope, nope. It's on serial. So, okay, so that's 1. 2 is Grown 3. And it was a variety of a number of just sort of not random decisions, hunting for that one waveform sound that would give it to me. And the further I got into this, the more I was unsure if I had picked the correct method to sort of make this thing. So an arpeggio, I don't know, it was an interesting deal. So Grown 3, I've also got the envelope of number 1 on there. And 7 has been, now 7 is a performer tab. And it looks like this. And all this is doing is when the sound goes do, as it gets hit, it'll turn up and then back down. So it'll go boom, 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 boom. So because if without this, it becomes quite, I remember Alt will let me do that. I made a bigger difference while I was making it. No, it's not such a big difference, but anyways, that's there, and this is the setting. So I synced all my performer tabs ratios of 1 to 12, and they're all on restart. Make sure you have restart on. So that's what's going on. They're all also working on the top X fade sequence. So this bottom one is being ignored. Okay, so we have Oscillator 3. Oscillator 3 is acid. Now this one's been pitched up an octave, and there's the amp. It's been set right there. Also going to filter 1. These two are not a super big deal, as you can see. Not the biggest deal in the world. The first one is the important one. In fact, at a point, what I'm doing to the sound, as you can see, it almost doesn't matter what this is. So it's kind of an interesting deal when you get into sounds like this. Okay, so I went to the Modulation Oscillator, and this had a feel of modulation. So I ring modulated it, and it actually did make it made a difference. I was kind of surprised here. Now the phase modulation is essentially just ring modulation, but even at a ratio of 0, it does make a difference. I'm assuming it's like a feedback loop. but it blurred the top end of the distortion, which is something that I was looking for. And this was just something I was trying, and it worked out for me. So that was kind of cool. Noise. The noise is white noise. The color, so this is basically a high pass filter, is all the way up, and the amp has been brought up. Without it, these things just kind of add up. They just start adding. Now let's head over to the big one. So okay, so this is all filter one, So the scream filter. Okay, this thing is like touchy as crap. So I'm not really gonna touch it too much more, because I was trying to get it closer to this. This is just one of those sounds I had trouble nailing to the floor. So the scream filter's cutoff is so I have envelope number 1 going, and it is on. This is what I did. So it's exactly this setting. I'll move it a little bit just to show you the differences. So you see, I'll settle right there. But as you can see, that this becomes quite touchy. So does this. I'm not going to touch this one, but this one is just as touchy, and I don't want to throw them off because a bunch of these small moves sort of stack up. So I went with a performer setup. So there were 2 sort of methods to go about doing this. I could either have a sound, there was like a bug on me or something, have a sound that re-triggers, and I tried that with this. And this isn't a completely done patch. I started it, and as I was going, I started realizing this is most certainly not the way I would approach. This is like, I just don't think he did it that way. That is very not likely. This, I think, is far more likely. So this is the performer tab setup, and it's got, these are the curves I settled on. And again, restart, gate, And I'm using this to trigger the scream filter. So this triggers that movement, the ya type movement, because it moves with the scream. They sort of work hand in hand with the sample and hold unit. The resonance has filter 3. This does make a big difference. Like it makes a timbre difference where the resonance is at. So this all 3 of these settings are just the art of setting the scream filter is most certainly an art. So that's a statement that is very redundant. So that's the scream filter. Now if we come down here to the inserts, I have the clipping. So the hard clipping is what I settled on. Where is it? Whatever. I know it's in here because I selected it. Hard clippers, the last one. So dry wet is up. The drive is all the way up. So without it, I'm not sure if I actually used it. Yeah, I do. I do use it after filter 2, which is technically a dead filter. So I'm not sure if I use the feedback. I suppose it could be in effect. I don't know. You know what? That's what I did though. I settled on that, and then along the way, crap happens. So just letting you know, this is here. Insert 2, sample and hold. This is like the thing that makes it the yo. If I turn this off, doesn't have that sound. So that's what's going for. This is sort of now see his is lower. I don't know. If you guys have a better shot at this, let me know. Like, I'd be way curious to see if you can make the exact sound. Like I think this resembles it, and that's pretty much where I stopped. So the dry wet, we have a oscillator, envelope 3 again, and it's controlling the pitch and the dry wet. This was an experiment, and this does make a difference if I turn this off. As you can see, if I turn it on. Even when you go past it, it seems to make a difference. I don't know. But anyways, you can spend hours here finagling with that. Like, that's the thing. The classic tube, another big one. So this gives it more of the girth. And I tried turning it on with 3 and 2 is not that important. It's just a long attack. It wasn't that big of a deal. But I tried turning it on with these to make it more aggressive as we go, to try and mimic what this is going on, because you can see it's clearly an arpeggiation, because we have down here, up one, up another, and then another. Just 4 lines. So I knew it was some sort of arpeggiation. So this is what I settled on. Now this 5 is also responsible for making that arpeggiation. So that's what's making the arpeggiation. That was what makes this thing. As the cutoff filter, well, this isn't really what's responsible. This is responsible for the rhythm. 1 is responsible for the filter, and they in tandem create our sound with 6. So we got 3 moving parts here. It's a little confusing. So 1 is moving the cutoff filter up. Why it's doing that? The scream filter is chopping the scream to give us our rhythm, and then 6 is chopping the entire sound as a whole to give us the final rhythm. Without 6 on, We have all that middle crap. We don't want that. That's just the filter moving. So that gives us that sound. So we're going to get to that in just a sec. So anyways, that's what's going on there. And so that's the sample and hold. Very important. That's a lo-fi type sound. Now, the amp module. Guess we're coming to the amp module right now. Amp module. No, I was on the... Anyways, I already explained this. So I tried it with the dimensional expander. Was... Oh, you know what? That does sound a little bit closer. Maybe, I mean, you could check out with stuff like that. If you did make it with massive, it's very likely. I believe you did. Just my guess. So we have the EQ. The EQ has been settled on as such. These are the settings. Not that shocking. A little high shelf, cut the low end. That's pretty much it. So 6K. Now the amp module, envelope 4, looks like this. I believe it's the default one. I believe actually the default one comes down a little bit, but I don't remember touching this. So I believe that's just about it. On 6 though, I have it limited to 6 steps. I could do this 2 ways. I could have it chop off here, and I tried messing with this. You'll notice that this last one is slightly steeper than these first 3 because that's what I felt like happened here. And so that's that. That's what's going on there. It is 6 steps. I could write out the notes so they're the right length, or I could just do this. Now, it doesn't really matter because it's restart. So I could have it go longer and just make these silent. And so long as they're silent and I restart my notes, it's 4 notes. So I just need 4 slots. And that's that. Now, that is the patch. I'm not going to make it because of the crazy mess that I just described. But at the same time, it is a pretty simple sound. You get an oscillator, send it through a scream filter. Make sure you've got your 2... envelopes, your stepper envelope, performer envelope ready to go, and you can get a very similar sound. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
We will keep on right now.